everyone. I have a story today. Do you see what I'm wearing? I'm wearing a hood that's red. What do you think our story is about today? Do you know the story? Maybe you do. Do you remember this one? Little Red Riding Hood. Do you remember what happened? She was going to bring some treats to Grandma's house. And then what happened? She met a wolf. Yep. Let's read it again. Let me get my glasses on. Okay. She's going to get tricked. Do you remember? Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, a little girl lived with her mother and a brother in a small cottage by the edge of a forest. Her favorite piece of clothing was a long red cape with a soft, silky hood. She wore it so often that people soon called her Little Red Riding Hood. Do you see her? One day, Little Red Riding Hood was bored. She was looking for something to do. You could sweep the floors, said her mother, who was busy painting the fence. No, said Little Red Riding Hood. I don't think that's what I want to do. You could help clean the yard, said her brother, who was very busy chopping wood. No, said Little Red Riding Hood. I know that isn't what I want to do. What about you? Would you want to help sweep the floors or chop the wood? Maybe it might be fun, and it'd be helping. But Little Red Riding Hood wanted to do something else. Look at her. Look at her face. She does. She looks very bored. Well then, you could visit your grandmother, said her mother. You're old enough to go by yourself, and we haven't seen her in weeks. That's exactly what I want to do, said Little Red Riding Hood. Grandmother lives on the other side of the woods. It will be an adventure. So Little Red Riding Hood's mother packed a basket full of treats for the girl to take to her grandmother. Just remember, said her mother, the woods can be very dangerous. What does that mean, dangerous? Maybe it's not safe, huh? She might get hurt. Very risky to go into the woods. Maybe especially by yourself, huh? So, when you leave, please go straight to Grandma's, and don't be late. So she got her basket of treats, and off she goes. Oh, she won't listen, said her brother. Yes, I will, said Little Red Riding Hood. Why do you think her brother said that? She won't listen. Of course she will, said her mother. Oh, and dear, something else before you go. Only talk to those you know. She won't listen, said her brother. Yes, I will, said Little Red Riding Hood. Of course she will, said her mother. Oh, and one last thing, sweetheart. From the path you shouldn't stray, or you could get lost someday. Mom had a couple of reminders, huh? Only talk to those you know, and from the path you shouldn't stray. What does that mean, stray? She shouldn't move away from it. She should stay on the path, or you could get lost someday. All those trees in the woods, Might be a good idea to stay on the path. Let's see. She won't listen, said her brother. Yes, I will, said Little Red Riding Hood. Of course she will, said her mother. Goodbye, dear. Give your grandmother a great big hug for me. Yes, mother, said Little Red Riding Hood. Then she headed out the door, down the path, and into the forest. There was so much to see in the woods. A sleeping owl, a giant mushroom, an amazing spider web. Then Little Red Riding Hood remembered what her mother had said. Do you remember what she said? When you leave, please go straight to Grandma's, and don't be late. But, thought Little Red Riding Hood, Mother surely wouldn't want me. She would want me to enjoy the forest and have a good time. So she stopped and she looked around at the mushrooms and the spider webs. Looks very exciting, huh? Just then, a dark shape stepped out from behind one of the trees. It was a wolf. And he was smiling a charming smile. Well, hello, little girl, said the wolf. Isn't this a lovely day? Little Red Riding Hood remembered what her mother had said. Do you remember? Something else before you go. Only talk to those you know. Does she know the wolf? But, thought Little Red Riding Hood, he seems like such a friendly wolf. Mother surely wouldn't want me to be rude, right? She wants her to be polite and friendly. What do you think? Hello, Mr. Wolf, said Little Red Riding Hood. Yes, it is a lovely day, and you seem to be such a delicious, by which I mean delightful, little child. The wolf's smile grew even bigger. What might your name be? Everyone calls me Little Red Riding Hood, said the girl. A splendid name, said the wolf. And where might you be headed, little Red, if I may call you that? You may, said Little Red Riding Hood. I am bringing my grandmother this basket of treats. She lives just on the other side of the forest. How kind of you, said the wolf. In fact, wouldn't your grandmother like a lovely bouquet of wildflowers? A whole bouquet of them, a whole bunch of flowers put together. There's just some right over that hill, down by the edge, near the river. Red Riding Hood remembered what her mother had said. Do you remember? From the path you shouldn't stray, or you could get lost someday. What's she gonna do? The flowers are over there. Let's see. But, thought Little Red Riding Hood, Mother surely would want me to bring grandmother some flowers. That's a wonderful idea, Mr. Wolf. I will pick some right away. And she scampered off into the woods. She went over there really quickly, ran over there, scampered off. Bye-bye, Little Red, the wolf called out. I'm sure we'll meet again very soon. And then he whispered, by which I mean for lunch. The moment Little Red Riding Hood disappeared, the wolf dashed down the path toward the grandmother's cottage. He tapped lightly on the door. Grandmother, he said. Grandmother, he said in a little girl voice. It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red, really? How wonderful. Grandmother flung open the door. Wait, she said. You're not my Little Red. Sadly, no, said the wolf, by which I mean goodbye, and he swallowed the grandmother in one big gulp. Uh-oh. "And now," said the wolf, patting his stomach, "I'll wait for my dessert." For dessert? What's his plan? That wolf is very clever. He got over there really fast, didn't he? Sometime later, Red Riding Hood came out of the woods. She was dirty, and her clothes were all rumpled. They were all crinkled and dirty and squished up. It was harder to find the path again. She was surprised to find her grandmother's door was wide open, and she stepped inside. "Grandmother, are you home?" "Yes, dear," came a scratchy voice from the bedroom. But I'm in bed. I'm afraid I have a nasty cold." Who is it? Remember what happened to Grandma? Red Riding Hood followed the voice into the bedroom. The curtains were closed and it was very dark. Grandmother was wearing a floppy nightcap and the blankets were pulled up past her nose. Red Riding Hood moved toward the bed. Grandmother's eyes looked very odd. "Why, Grandmother," she said, "what big eyes you have." The better to see you with, my dear. Come closer so I can give you a hug." Uh-oh. Red Riding Hood took another step and saw two odd triangles poking up under the nightcap. Oh no, look at her face. Oh, it's not Grandmother. What big ears you have. "The better to hear you with, my dear. Can you come closer?" Just then the blanket slipped from Grandmother's face, revealing 2 rows of very sharp teeth. What a surprise. It wasn't Grandmother. But Grandmother, what big teeth you have. "The better to eat you with," roared the wolf, leaping out of Grandmother's bed. Oh no, what's Little Red going to do? Red Riding Hood screamed, ran out of the bedroom, through the main room, and into the kitchen, slamming doors behind her. She clambered into a cabinet and yanked the door shut. Why didn't I listen to my mother, she thought. If I hadn't stopped in the woods, I wouldn't have met that wolf. If I hadn't talked to the wolf, I wouldn't have left the path. And if I hadn't left the path, I wouldn't have been late to Grandma's. Then none of this would have happened. Uh-oh. What's going to happen next? In the kitchen, you could hear the wolf calling to her. "Where are you, Little Red?" he said. "There's no need to hide. By which I mean I'm going to find you and eat you." Oh no. Just then, something crashed. A voice yelled, dishes smashed. The sounds got louder and louder and wilder, and everything went quiet. What was happening? Little Red Riding Hood peeked out from the cabinet. There stood her brother. His axe in one hand, he was helping Grandmother get out of that wolf. "Thank you, dear," said Grandmother. It was very dark in there. The brother looked at Little Red Riding Hood. "I knew you wouldn't listen." You remember he kept saying that, huh? So how did he know to go to Grandma's house? Little Red Riding Hood scrambled out of the cabinet and gave her brother a big, big hug. "You were right," she said. "But I will, from now on, I will listen." Then Riding Hood, her brother, and their grandmother all sat down together to eat the treats from the basket. That was a fun story. So why did the wolf pretend to be Grandma? Why did he pretend? What do you think? How did the brother know to get to go to Grandma's house? Did he follow her? What do you think? It was a tricky wolf, that was for sure. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.